In order not to be late, let us start our work. My name is Sergei Labanov. I'm Deputy Director of the Department of Light Industry and Localization of Products of the Ministry of Trade of the Russian Federation. I will be a moderator of our panel. First of all, let me welcome the guests of Innoprom. As I understand, we have here entrepreneurs and beginning exporters who are just learning how to move their products across the border. And as I understand, from the topics, we will mostly concentrate on specific issue of marketplace sales. The problems of Russia as a regulator of trade and marketplace trade most quickly growing, which is obvious today despite the fact that in the domestic market online share is very small. If we look at the market of household utilities in Moscow, St. Petersburg, Yekaterinburg, Vladivostok, online share in the turnover is close to 18%. It approaches the e-commerce average data in the UK. So we may state that the volume of e-commerce should be at the level of the leading developed countries. It is just that we have certain barriers and certain commodity groups and some logistic problems in certain areas. By all means, e-commerce is gaining ground in international trade. We're talking here about import and export. The largest companies like Alibaba and others growing in our market, and they offer different services in our country with the help of marketplaces. And as our strategic task, we see the development of this segment by means of creating comfortable conditions. In the nearest future, we will publish the strategy which we have prepared, which will be a part of the national strategy for e-commerce development in general, and it will have certain aspects related to electronic sales. The problem is on the agenda of the economic bloc of the government, what measures of the government support we may offer, and what the entrepreneur can rely on. We will ask this question from Nikita Gusakov from the Export Center, Managing Director of the Russian Export Center. Of course, the entrepreneur can count on the whole spectrum of support provided by our center to exporters. Today, I will focus more on what we are doing in the marketplace and e-commerce, mentioning that both in the sales, in electronic platforms, we may use all types of soft financing and participation in the exhibitions and so on. In general, we see our work with the exporters following the main principle, that is educational part, to teach and provide basic knowledge, specifically if we are talking about the companies in small and mid-sized businesses. Second is export support, is financing and insurance and various types of other support, which we are providing together with the Ministry of Industry and Trade. And the third large block is regulation. What needs to be changed from the point of view of legal regulation to make the life of exporters easier and to reduce the barriers. If we are talking specifically about e-commerce and marketplace, the first area about which we are talking is the building of relationship with various platforms. Main focus was on Asian platforms. The first operator with whom we started to work was Alibaba, after which we have made the Russian pavilion of Tmall and JD. If we are talking about China, Lazada is the Vietnamese trading platform part of Alibaba Group and Rakuten marketplace in Japan. The availability of the Russian Export Center and the Russian Pavilion, which exists there, makes easier for the companies the dialogue with the marketplace as such. Therefore, our main task is to simplify access. We have made pretty simple instructions on our website how to approach the marketplace, and in general we see from our results, if we are talking about Alibaba, about 100 companies started operating there in 1.5 year period. In addition to just providing access to the platform, we are also organizing promo actions for specific brands, specific products to attract additional attention to the products in the Russian pavilion. In addition, Kirill will also say that about Moscow Export Center, that we are not financing specifically the participation in the platform. This service is provided by the Regional Export Center. This is the first direction. And the second, as I mentioned, our educational program. As part of the program of Expert Center, we are developing a course consisting of 9 modules, and one of which is focused on e-commerce. Over 1,000 companies were trained there already. We are developing regional programs. We are teaching the regional trainers for them to be able to teach them about the basics before the company started using their instruments of export. It must learn the fundamentals. What is the export contract? What is allowed? What is the foreign currency regulation? So these are the components of the course that we teach in our School of Export. E-commerce is also one of the significant blocks of this story. In addition to this teaching, we have also online courses on the basis of the Russian Export Center. A third important block, which I also mentioned, is legal regulation. It was not traditionally oriented towards sales using the electronic channels. It was related to foreign currency regulation and customs regulation. In June, we organized project laboratories. We have brought together a significant number of representatives from the industry and ministries, associations, and within the framework of different areas and norms, we discussed those problems and barriers which we have and which hinder active development of export. As a result, we have developed a number of measures which will be part of international export cooperation and federal sub-programs. A separate block is regulation, and the regulation related to e-commerce. Main things which we are stating today and on which we are going to talk. This is the possibility to trade using the temporary storage facilities, after which the product should be sold. The possibility to confirm zero VAT rate when the product is mailed with the possibility to use electronic receipts, then the possibility of the product re-entry when the advertising sample is imported, and the possibility of B2B settlement in electronic money. These are the main blocks which we are working on. This is simplification of document flow, zero VAT, which will allow us to simplify the possibilities of sales for the companies. These are the 3 blocks on which we've been focusing, and all the other tools which we have are also applicable. If we are talking, let us say, about food industry, which is one of the most active users or the electronic platforms, because in China there is a significant demand for the Russian food products, and this is a dedicated business mission of the representatives of food companies. When we are going to certain countries, and our partners, the purchasing companies, retail networks, and the Gastro Week, and the possibility of later access to electronic platform. This is our focus. And another branch is certification made in Russia, is a kind of quality stamp, which is also very important because we promote this brand at the exhibitions and business mission, and we start promo programs which would support the brand made in Russia. And if we're talking about Asian markets, this brand is received very favorably. In Europe, the response may be different, particularly in light of the current political situation, but in Asia, it works very well. Therefore, we invite you to use all these support measures. The most important thing is not to be lazy, because the most frequent response that we hear, we did not know about your available support. So we suggest just visit our website, because we want to distribute the information, but it requires initiative on part of the
Thank you. We do have an active support measure in terms of subsidies for brand promotion abroad, Reds, and we working on the potential subsidizing of access to marketplaces. We have a managing director of the Cifra company. He will tell us about his experience of bringing innovative products to the market. Thank you. We do software and some elements of hardware for digital manufacturing. Therefore, of course, regarding marketplaces and software, but you sell them abroad. We do sell them abroad, and I would like to share a successful experience of working with Reds, not regarding the topic of discussion, but we have been created more than 1 year ago, and we have a system for monitoring of machines in order to improve efficiency. And starting with the first day, we're going to build an international company, because in Russia you can connect in Russia, but 3.5 million in the entire Europe. And I must say that we have first understood that we can work with Reds regarding exhibitions, and the rest, what Nikita mentioned. We did know that there are other measures like financing, insurance of transactions, assistance in licensing, etc. We were not noticing this, but it works with exhibitions, and the state helps. And we're going to use other services. It's pleasant, is something that you're not waiting for, but it really helps. Regarding the theme of the discussion, for software marketplaces, we use, but carefully, but all major vendors, all major global vendors, they invite to their marketplaces, and Asian and European, they stick to the platform strategy. They build their own marketplace. You should write on their software, and you can post your programs on that. But you cannot build an independent player, because you become and add on to the system, to the infrastructure that the vendor has created. But the way out is hardly creation of your own marketplace, no doubt. No doubt. We use, for instance, we have certain installations in Europe, we have an office in Finland, and in order for us to put up our software to Google and Apple marketplaces so that you can download it, there are shared access points where workers can enter the schedule, and it is written that you could start it on standard hardened software. We're going to do that with Asian markets. If we speak about the main software, our business model is B2B, not B2C. Therefore, we are moving towards our customers through resellers, partners, and we upload software through delivery systems like websites. Therefore, for us, marketplaces are not the key point. The software on Android, yes, but not for the main server. But I want to say how much is this relevant for the discussion. The system of union of machines and one system, when plants can order from other plants, individual manufacturing of individual volume of parts. But now there exist different ideas in the country regarding how to optimize the capacity. But since we have the largest number of machines connected in Russia, we are in discussion, but we need a serious state support, and we can speak between countries. And if we look at the thousands of them, where we can make a pilot area, everything is ready, and we can agree upon with one individual country as a pilot, so as to be able to distribute orders for mechanical processing. This might have been interesting, maybe not on the theme of the discussion. Thank you. We have an opportunity to turn to the regional experience. We have a Moscow Export Center, Mikhail Efimовich, Deputy Chair of Udmurt Republic Government, an experienced person in terms of regional product. Can or can there not be a product? Regional experience is this way. I have a small presentation that I'd like to call to as little as possible. The phrase from Innoprom that e-trade is very promising, it's scary. E-trade was promising 5 years ago. Now it's our reality. We have missed the moment when we were to start, but I can tell you that we are facing the same thing. In Udmurtia, we are trying to prove the outlook for electronic trade and the importance of exports. Maybe it sounds like a blasphemy, but Andrei Alexandrovich Slipnov and I discussed today that it is the system of coaching. Those who know how must be teachers. Do they know how to export? Has this person exported to 1 million euro? Therefore, we built an accelerator, which was Russia's first experience by the great person Jenny Dumin. He was bringing together for free companies from Udmurtia and Nizhny Novgorod. Out of 5 participants, 3 signed export contracts. I love this phrase. They cause good to them. They cause them to do export, but still the result justifies the expectations. We have understood for a long time that Udmurtia is a part of a global world. You must simply understand that we can do the things that are competitive in the world. Have you heard about JD? Do you know the company which attracted the most amount of money in JD? It's Hardway, from mobile telephone to the windscreen. The same company from Udmurtia supplied to Kickstarter.com. We have champions. Remember the name of Ivan Hodakov and Hardway. In the past year, what we have done in our region, there were many problems, but the fact that we are number second in terms of export support, and Reds is our key partner. The statistics, I don't think anybody cares about Udmurt statistics. I will move to e-commerce. Dramatic figures. 86% of exporters have a website. This is a horrible figure, which means 14% have no website. And you see how this convex is narrowing, and they evaluate the experience of marketplace positioning as successful. 5% have an internet website, 30% have a website in the English language. It was year 2018. But we do have cool internet exporters. We have a company who sharpen knives. I purchased some for myself. I think there's association of bloggers in this theme in the US and Canada, which has been acknowledged as the best. Well, they trade in Amazon. They have all sales via internet. And the case from Russia, the Udmurt company is the best in this. You have been moving windows. Yes. Again. Colleagues, who is switching the presentation? If you click the mouse, not on the window, but on the presentation. Okay. And does it work? The great company Window Filters, which sells window filters in other internet shops, unique things where you can air the room without opening a window. They also sell via internet to Norway, for instance. It's a unique company. It's a dancing company, which is participating in our export accelerator. More than 50% online sales, 89 countries, world champions in calisthenics, gymnastics, fantastics. We have things to be proud of. Now regarding internet trade, 2 slides, and I will be finishing. We have inquired with our businesses represented at Alibaba what are the factors which turn upsides or downsides. And the answer is quite trivial, but some of them I paid attention to. Maybe some evident points like poor quality of translation or analytic errors. We did not understand where to get traffic from. And I think that these answers keep the name of module for the training program, which could be done like Alibaba involving Reds or Reds with someone else. actually we need not only to inquire with Udmurt companies, but the first working theory for our VP, how to go online correctly. And I think that what we were speaking about earlier, and we are going to talk to Alibaba later, we are prepared to select best projects in Alibaba for the criteria of competitiveness to jointly evaluate. Flexible in terms of payment, let's teach them, let's do coaching. And again, that's example of accelerator. Why do they believe Splat? They are genius exporters. Try to make toothpaste which will be sold all over the world. If these companies like that, not theoreticians who have learned something, but practitioners, this will be the coolest project, and it has every chance to be a new star. And we are ready in absolutely open mode to report. If it's not successful, okay, we need to change something. Exactly this is the way we had School with Reds from military companies. It's not online, but you understand, conversion, everything is serious. What kind of expert you're talking about? But we're starting a project with them. I think that something can be coming from that, coaching, teaching, training, something like that. Udmurtia is part of the global world, and e-commerce is not like everything for us. It's our new reality. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, Mikhail, I can't cannot respond. I was misunderstood. In fact, we perceive e-commerce as a format of commerce. Like if we compare fixed shops and mobile pavilions, this is a sales channel, and surprise, it makes it possible to sell everywhere else. If we speak about this channel is very promising, if there is a growth potential, we compare ourselves to developed countries. We have another commerce format which has not been declared, these mobile shops. They are either semi-legal or non-existent in the company. And the growth rate, as soon as we make alterations to the law, the format, if it's like 10 or 15%, that's it. But if we are late, but it's not the issue or a certain assignment from the state, it's development of economy, it's the level of acknowledgement of commodity manufacturers, of innovative goods, and those who are capable of selling them. If the good is sold at the agricultural market, which means that the seller and the buyer must find themselves. If somebody wants but knows not how, we need to teach and grow. 18% of washing machines in Moscow are sold online. Moscow Expert Center, Kirill Ilichov.
Dear colleagues, good afternoon. In Moscow, the situation is somewhat better than in Udmurtia. Currently, in 2018, out of 1 trillion rubles of sales in the marketplace in Russia, 31% is Moscow. At the same time, the problems are quite often very similar. Let me share the experience of Moscow Expert Center, what we have now, and in what direction are we going. We've been moving in an agreed way. We discussed the possibility of creating our own marketplace or a shared marketplace. And we understood that this means deadlines, money costs about hundreds of thousands to $1 million, and monthly promotion, which is also costly, approximate resource. In the USA, one million was spent for the starting of the resorts. And we understand that no matter how many marketplaces we create, for them to reach and the established level, will have to spend a lot of effort and money. Now, these are the largest B2B, B2C, and of course, we've selected as a pilot project the largest marketplace in the world, Alibaba, with the number of customers. If my statistics is right, 250 million, 185 visits from hundreds of countries. We decided to start to implement a pilot module with this company. It was not that easy. Bearing in mind that there is a division of AliExpress in Russia, and we do not have an official permanent establishment of Alibaba in Russia. All the supplies have to be organized with partners in China. As a result, we have invited an authorized representative of Alibaba PAL company, and with the help of that company, we have started to implement our product. That was free provision of golden account on Alibaba. We have analyzed the standard and golden account, and we have understood that the gold account should be offered as an account via which it is possible to improve priority and get ranking. Also, there is a function of a show window where you can increase the number of clicks and visits. Currently, we are implementing the first pilot module for representing 20 projects of gold accounts, and before the end of the year, we plan to increase that number to 100. Also, we understand that the companies, even Moscow companies, which can afford to buy gold accounts themselves, but then they become black boxes, which they never use because people do not understand how to use them, how to promote them, how to fill them. In this relation, we have expanded our offer. In addition to providing the gold account, we also teach the people. We fill in the starting profile. We train the employees in the usage of this account, and we are co-financing it. We finance 50% of costs for the creation of account, and this allows us, by the results of the outcome of our support to the company, to start it completely and have knowledgeable personnel who knows how to operate this account in Alibaba. To move on. In greater detail, probably we will discuss the implementation of these accounts over the past year. And right now, we discuss the issue of transition to B2C platforms because there is great demand for them, particularly in small and mid-sized businesses. They're very interested in that. To be frank, from that communication that we had with the companies, we've understood that right now they cannot operate on full scale on B2C platforms in Russia. It's practically impossible. Now let me open a specific case. I think that if it's interesting for you, there is this company, Table Sense. They provide smart desks with chargeable equipment and so on. And they share the experience of operating in United Arab Emirates. What they tell us, they analyzed Amazon, eBay, Alibaba. They not just analyzed, they tried to operate there. They had the following problems. It was impossible to get money from sales. It was impossible to find the information on filling in or maintaining an account. This information is not available in open sources. They had problems with logistics and warehousing. I do hope that Nikita will help us with this. The ministry is taking care of that issue with the warehouses there. We do have problems with warehousing. Russian legal entity, practically all platforms need to have foreign legal entities, otherwise it would be problematic to sign contracts. We do hope that we'll be able to address this problem at the level of the regional center. As they say, it's hardly possible, and we do hope to participate jointly. As we understood, some measures have been developed already, which would allow us to overcome the problems. I do hope that we will join, and we will have the possibility to go into B2C market and implement support in that segment of e-commerce as well. It is necessary to say that, of course, we are connecting e-commerce support with other support measures, soft loans for exporters, which are already available in Moscow, and we plan to provide subsidies for certification, borrowing, logistics. One more point I wanted to make also. What we believe is the main potential of e-commerce. We know that many large marketplaces already also determine and identify these areas for development. I do not know whether Sergei will agree with me, but main task which has been formulated in Russia by the president of the Russian Federation, and the main decrease is the global increase of export of products. A global increase of export is in the first place possible in the area of services. We can see it on the example of largest developed countries. We do know that a number of marketplaces right now work on the possibility of introducing and placement. I do not know whether it will be a dedicated platform or on the existing platforms, but I'm talking about export of services. I believe it is quite relevant today, and we are now working on promoting the strategy of offering services of Moscow service providers and the global market. And I do hope to listen to comments from Alibaba on this subject and have some information about the direction in which we are going. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Kirill. And now, Alibaba, please. Sergey.
Большое спасибо.
Good afternoon. Thanks a lot. I don't know even what to start with. The place has been advertised so greatly. I will start with the ABC. Alibaba is a whole ecosystem. Alibaba Group has many businesses in it. One of them is Alibaba.com. It's essentially a site platform for B2B promotion, and answering Kirill's question that everything is not so simple because Russia has no representative office of Alibaba.com. I say that everything is regulated by the bony hand of the market. If it decides to buy 100 golden accounts, one of the passive measures of support, now there were about 200 of them because Moscow Export Center doubles the number of service partners. Is it possible that the company PAL, which is a representative of Alibaba in Moscow, then it would become part of our team. Therefore, everything depends on demand. Then, let us talk about Udmurtia and promotion at B2B sites. The price is not competitive. What did you mean? The competitive price on the market or the company itself? Okay, thanks God, because Alibaba.com is essentially a certain marketplace. Not much marketplace, but it's aggregate. Because the deals are not created within the framework. It's only the buyer and the seller is who looks for one another. As to B2C and where we are going, Alibaba in Russia has not been for too long, about 4,000 years. The main business in Russia is AliExpress. One had mostly it's cross-boundary trade with China and Russia. Last year we started a local marketplace. It's called Tmall, it's in China, but Tmall.ru. It's Russian vendors who sell to ID and CS. It only is certified in Russia and has a brand by. There are many discussions on this, but still 100% information, essentially the Russian goods. Alibaba will develop in three main areas. First, of course, we are going to develop AliExpress because it's very popular. It enjoys a huge popularity. For instance, documentary market, AliExpress is 60%. And in Russia, there are about more than 20 million AliExpress users. In the 4 years, we improved delivery. If 4 years ago, user was waiting up to 45 days, now they can get it in 8 to 10 days. But it's not interesting for us because it's import anyway. But it is the local marketplace. I think we will introduce the opportunity of export to other markets. When will this happen? It's difficult for me to say. Maybe the horizon of 2 years at least, because we need to find a technical solution, because our regulatory base is not quite ready for that, and the main thing is we have not yet constructed our logistics. We have a logistics unit between Sanyao and Post of Russia. We managed to reduce from 45 days to 8, 10. Of course, this is registered mailing. We can track the parcel. So, logistics division, Sanyao, is planning to build 5 major logistics hubs, one in Russia. Why do they do that? Jack Ma, our founder, from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world can be delivered, which requires very good warehousing logistics. So I hope that in the near future, such a hub will be built in Russia, where it is difficult to say. It was very pleasant to hear from Russian Export Center regarding development of temporary storage warehouses. Speaking about import, it comes from China, but when we speak about export, it does not yet know how to export on electronic channels. What is important for a B2C consumer? First, it's quality. And what is important in quality is the speed of delivery. When we speak about developed countries, very sophisticated, countries. Then waiting for 2 weeks is not too good. So temporary warehouses to accelerate the electronic commerce channels. Well, that's probably where we are going and what we wanted to do in Russia. We here have two businessmen, Andrei Efimov, Novosvit from Udmurtia. Dear colleagues, have you worked with Alibaba? So who shall we start with? We had attempts working with Alibaba because we were looking for partners in China via Alibaba. But since we work with Reds very successfully, they set these rings for us. For Alibaba, what we tried 1 year ago to try and learn this topic, the information is zero. We have contacted your representative office. Negotiations went on for 2 months. We are finding out how much it costs. We thought it will be easy and nice, but the amount was not a small amount. We have been calculating for a long time the absence of warehouses and refused at that point because there is no experience, no people. The managers were unable to explain to us what is to be done. Because we as manufacturers, it's important for us to promote our brand and then our goods. And I heard in Moscow they've done it great. If in Rostov, where we are, we have a representative of Reds come to Moscow, we have a localization program. We are ready to consider this option. If I would get a golden parcel, I would have a process going very quickly. Now let me answer what we're talking about. Alibaba.com. Alibaba.com. You were trying to contact the Moscow office. Well, colleagues may have not done their work completely, but you need to contact PAL with the Alibaba services partner. They are representatives of Alibaba.com. Moreover, they get commission from Alibaba.com for their services. They do not charge anything. You only pay the cost of Alibaba account. And PAL, it is their business. It is a champion at Alibaba. They sorted everything out, purchased a golden account. They have experience, good sales experience. They say, oh, that's great account. That's great market. Thank you very much. But if Reds is dealing with this issue, this will be much more useful because the cases are useful. The colleagues. The market is great for its diversity. If you are ready to look for counterparts at exhibitions and look for a maximum margin, you may be creating your own retail network, but then you will have to learn to organize retails.
Бизнесом.
Everyone is in their own business. We are the best. Therefore, what we are talking about, that there are companies, integrators, interpreters who help to translate from one language into another. I'm not talking about linguistic languages, but IP programming languages or some underwater barriers. So I'm talking about successful sales via Alibaba platforms and provision of services to outsiders. Okay, Anton, what about your experience? There was a very good example about Tabla Sons company. So they are part of global world, and there were investment from Udmurtia in this company. What I can say in continuation of that subject, many companies operate there. They do not wish to share their practices, and all customs procedures that subject when it is necessary to ship some small number of items. It is not prescribed. There is no detailed description, so we have to ship it in the form of some kind of gray export, pretending to be a grandmother selling a parcel to her grandson. And it seems that we are avoiding customs duties, and the receiving party also does not have any formal documents. So we are generating risks, which were described by Kirill. Also, we have other problems from the point of view of logistics, what was mentioned by Sergei. Impossibility to build complex solutions because each time we have to process documents as an individual. It does not allow us to obtain some soft tariffs, some integrated solutions to improve the quality of our services. The second point is foreign currency regulation, which is focused on the points that we need to transfer the profits in foreign currency to transit account. So this is not oriented towards the current situation. It's good that this issue is already discussed, but it's also a restriction. It's not enough to promote the product. It's necessary to deliver it and get paid for it. And the problem of acquiring also exists. So all these points are the barriers. And if these issues are addressed and removed, then the level of sales will grow significantly. To promote products from the point of view of e-commerce is one thing. We know how to do it in the Russian market, but the issue of order delivery is no less important. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last but not the least, Asen. Sberbank is a deeply echeloned managerial system. May I ask you if this Sberbank system marketplace system, or is it a secret? Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Sergey, thank you for the question. We work with many of you and seeing you often. I'm happy to see you, dear business people and the guests of Innoprom. My name is Arsen. I'm executive director in Sberbank. We were renamed as Bank of Business Partners. If we speak in the entrepreneur's language, if that's a system or ecosystem of the state, and with a simple example of how we can have to develop, look on the Wikipedia to find the definition of international economic activity, but a business person does not live with regulatory categories. Everything is simple with them. Before the bank, I worked for 6 years, FMCG international company. My personal experience shows that as soon as we make it more complicated, on every extra click, you're looking 80% of users, and this includes all the barriers. At the customs, minus 80% of users. If it's VAT, if there is a barrier of mailing, and you only have as competitive a history that at any margin, at any unique case of cases will break through this asphalt, this uh, sprout will be developing. What the customer needs, what the user wants, and of course the thing is what retail teaches you. The companies such as Mars, Philip Morris, Procter and Gamble that came to Russia in 1990s, everybody knows that the goods must be on the shelf, it must have a price, and if it's delivered, then it must be delivered. If these conditions are not met, then it's a program failure. We had a conference last year of international economic relations developers in our YouTube channels, how they approached. Nobody should teach business people as to how to work. There are specific areas, thousands of them, and unless someone has not completed this journey from the idea to implementation in the international market, no book will prompt you, because there are so many nuances, certificates, etc. What we have done, last November we started the platform, but we will give you a short memo. It's a website, bankofpartners.com. It works in C and in Germany, in D in Germany, and RU domain. Its idea is that not to sell anything, but to have a place for international economic activities who understand Russian, and there is no monetization. We do not offer loans, car loans, or home mortgage, but there are about 12,000 users from 109 countries. We need to take a look. Users come to us. We did not advertise on the first channels. One registered and invited others. Supported at 3 languages, Russian, English, and Chinese. And if a person creates an offer in Russian, but the Chinese person sees it in Chinese, distribution by the country, all sections are operational. We make it for any user in the international economic to have 3 clicks of the use. If it's a major company, it downloads 50 counterparts from the website. If you want to save on long distance calls, we are going to develop this. And if the tax ID has been entered, it means that the company has been checked by our register. There will be opportunity to check Chinese companies, insurance company, COFAS, for Russian company to check international counterparts, and understanding that international economic relations are a complex theme. There were problems with payments of China. We added a free service of advisor on payments, settlements. There is a chat. You can ask those questions. We decided to develop it. We're looking to introduce a permanent logistics advisor, legal advisor, state support. I frankly didn't have known that the Moscow Export Center gives it to its partners. We were partners in Start Exporting project. I believe it that what my colleague said, there is a majority of marketplaces, that there are only 200 countries, except for the markets that are not very interesting, but Statistically, the trade representative of Western companies, every day in 8 years, there are 25 visits to shopping points, and he has 25 presentations a day. Even there are 200 marketplaces. Please register everywhere. Who gives what conversion? You must try this. Maybe some believe that registration, my name, without a photo and activity in my native language is enough. Of course it's not. You need to teach people basic things, how to make good photos. A video, if you have, in the adopted language of your potential market, you need to record your offer. If you want to go to China, make a PDF with a phrase in Chinese. Do not be scared of online sites. We were promoting at the Canton Fair at Guangzhou. This is the world's largest fair. It loses visitors because it's offline traffic, 200,000 tourists, and it's getting less. And as I'm summarizing, my personal opinion is we must do it in such a way that create a certain merchandising place for Russian companies, that it were clear, simple. Internal prompts must tell us like we are not selling at the marketplace. We prompt to users if you are guided by a certain marketplace, you can start a account at a certain platform. The bank is not making any money, which is quite unexpected from a bank. It's a simple business model. The mission of this project is to have more users, more participants of international economic activity, exporters for Russia, existing clients. This or that way, you will make transactions through bank accounts. It's an open site, not only for bank accounts, but if we have competitive counterparts, we'll have half of the market for other financial products. There is no hidden sense. We are ready for partnership, all organizations or associations that give us the opportunity to develop branches within the platform, a large scope of work. I only mentioned what has been done. We do not normally speak about work in progress.
Well, it's a healthy position of a healthy bank. Well, dear friends, there are tools. There's a fishing rod, you can go fishing. There must be microphones in the audience. If there are any questions to the participants, you may ask the questions. But if we wind up the panel, then probably any one of you will be ready to talk one-on-one after that. Well, thank you for the participation.